Hello and welcome to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. Well, we're back here discussing the COVID, but also at a time, in fact, we are at a very interesting crossroads because the vaccinations are here. And in fact, this is the time when we are told that the vaccination will also now be available to others other than the healthcare workers and the emergency services, but even to senior citizens. And how do we apply? What is the procedure is something that we will discuss in today's show. But also, interestingly, this is also a time we're seeing another surge or escalation in the COVID cases. We've seen that in Maharashtra. Delhi is also seeing cases rising. So, should we be worried? Should we at least be cautiously optimistic? What has COVID got in store for us? That is something I'm going to be discussing today with the panel of experts. I have Professor Srinath Reddy. He is the president of Public Health Foundation India and also a member of the ICMR's COVID task force. Dr. Romel Tikku is Associate Director, Internal Medicine at the Max Super Speciality Hospital. And of course, we have Dr. Harsh Mahajan. He's the founder of Mahajan Imaging and familiar face in Delhi, I would say. Professor Reddy, first with the vaccinations, is it now available to everybody? How does one apply? What is the procedure? And also, will we be given a choice as to whether we can take the Bharat Biotech one or the Oxford AstraZeneca one, or will we just have to take whatever is available?
Well, it's been very clearly stated by the government that from March 1st, there would be registration available for people who wish to seek the vaccination, and the eligibility criteria are anybody above 45 years of age. And of course, people under 45 years of age also with comorbidities would need to be covered at some stage. But right now, they are saying that anybody above 45 is assumed to be at a higher risk of having comorbidities, so they will be actually registered. But they would start with a 60 plus age group and then they come down progressively across the various age groups. And the registration appears to be routed through multiple channels. First, of course, the Arogya Setu app itself can lead to the CoWIN app. And there are also other possibilities of registering, which they've explained, including local sites where you can actually walk in and then register. So I think given the fact that they're opening it up now, both, of course, through the public sector healthcare facility complex, that network, as well as now to the private sector facilities, there is a choice being offered to the person who is registering to look at which particular center close to their home they can opt for. And if that appears to be something that can be offered either immediately or near future, then they will be notified accordingly. And therefore, the possibility of registering through one phone for 4 people also exists, so that it's not necessary that everybody must register separately on a separate phone. The family can get it, and they can get separate dated appointments and even for separate centers despite a single channel of registration. So there are multiple ways in which they have actually explained how the access can be made easy. Of course, the proof of the pudding is when actually the app opens up and then we start finding out how easy it is and whether there are glitches. But given the multiple pathways in which you can actually register, I think it should be relatively easy.
And will there be a choice given or no? Whatever vaccine is available or to that hospital will be given to you?
Choice of sites, not of choice of vaccine, because the single site will have a single vaccine, because otherwise the logistics would be extremely difficult. So there are sites which may be given Covaxin, and there are some sites which may be supplied with Covishield, and therefore you will have to obviously try and hope that whatever your vaccine choice comes out of the lucky dip.
Which one have you got? Have you taken a vaccine so far?
Well, I have not been classified as an essential health worker, being a retired faculty member of AIIMS. So I'm waiting for March 1st to register myself and then get it, possibly at AIIMS itself.
Dr. Tikku, you've had one. You've had, I think, the Covishield, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, the Covishield. I'm waiting for the other one because that's how I'll complete. And I've been eagerly waiting for it. And I think 1.2 crore people have already, healthcare workers have been inoculated, which is a huge number if you go by absolute numbers. Maybe the percentage per population is not that high because ours is a huge country, 1.3 billion people. Yes, definitely. And with the private healthcare sector also being roped in at the right time, a very big positive, because we have to inoculate 27 crore priority population, which is basically 60 and above 45 plus with comorbidities. Huge number. It's going to be a daunting task, a challenge, but I'm sure we'll be able to do it. We've done it in the past, the government and the private sector together in COVID. We've achieved a lot of success.
Any after effects or anything post the vaccine? Did you have any problems?
Well, not really. I hardly had any side effects, but 20 to 30% people do have some mild fever, body ache, pain at the inoculation site, but that just goes in 48 hours, maximum 72 hours. You just need a tablet of paracetamol maximum, that's all. I don't think there have been any major safety concerns. There was a lot of apprehension initially, but now that's also gone, because with so many people having been inoculated, now there's no question of safety efficacy. I mean, and they are efficacious and they are safe. We haven't had any major issue with the vaccination till now out of so many people who've been vaccinated.
But did the rumors from South Africa or the reports from South Africa, did they worry you?
Well, yeah, it is a cause of worry because these mutant strains are supposed to be more transmissible, more infectious. We've seen what the UK strain has done. From November onwards, there was a huge spike. For that matter, even in US, there's been a huge spike. They'd almost reached 3 lakh patients a day. And now they're having some sort of respite, 75,000 cases still per day. UK was having 50,000 cases a day. So that is a cause of worry. And now they say the research says that they do increase the mortality to an extent. So, but India luckily hasn't had too many of such mutant strains. But now we hear that in Kerala, Maharashtra and Telangana, we have these 2 mutant strains. So we have to be vigilant. We can't let our guard down. Just because we're in a good position does not mean that we take it easy. So a lot of people are thinking that the virus is dead and gone, but I think it's here to stay. And we have to keep doing what we are doing, maintaining COVID appropriate behavior. And the need of the hour is to be very, very aggressive with the vaccination, because we have to cover so many people.
Mahajan, have you had your vaccination yet?
Yes, I've had it and I'm showing it off as well. You know, this says vaccinated against COVID-19. And, you know, our patients feel very good when they see this badge and they know this is a doctor who's, you know, safe for himself as well as for them. And just as Dr. Tikku said, you know, 1.23 crore injections down the line, safety is not an issue at all. You know, the initial 2 weeks, there was hesitancy because one didn't know about the safety. And it's absolutely safe. And frankly, I had no reaction. I did not even need to take, you know, a paracetamol for local pain or fever or anything like that.
Which vaccination did you take? Which one was?
See, in Delhi, by and large, in the private sector, it's been Covishield. It's only the 6 central institutes which got Covaxin. All the rest has been Covishield. And also we have nearly, you know, 400 plus 500 employees, and none of them had any significant side effect. And several of them have already had the second jab. And the second jab is supposed to produce more of a, you know, side effect. But even there, nothing of significance.
Professor Reddy, you know, we were told that, you know, to give a vaccine, especially the Bharat Biotech, while the phase trials are not yet over, that was a risk. Do you think that speculation has been put to rest now? And secondly, what are the new vaccines on the anvil?
Well, I think at that point in time, there was uncertainty about the mutants coming in and whether the vaccine that was already available, that is the Covishield, is going to be effective against the mutants. And some of those concerns in retrospect, after South African experience, have proved to be somewhat justified. So the safety of the Covaxin has not been under challenge, not only because of the phase 1 and 2 trials, but the huge number of people who were already vaccinated in the phase 3 trial was substantial, and the safety concerns were not really flagged at that time. It was only the question of efficacy. Now, if you see, even in Covishield, AstraZeneca rather, we have seen that number of subgroups have now come forth, including the 65 plus age group, where they're claiming that because of immunogenicity studies, it is justified, that because of a 3-month interval, which was not really a major part of the trial, that is also justified on the basis of immunogenicity studies. If you buy that argument, then you have to buy the Covaxin argument as well, that immunogenicity itself showed fairly strong efficacy there. So I think we'll have to accept the fact that at that particular point in time, the decision which was made was contingent upon a number of factors, some of which were unpredictable at that time, but in retrospect appear to have been justified by later developments. We'll have to wait for this trial to be completed, and we hope that it will show efficacy. If you're a pure scientist and can afford to wait for the trials to roll out in a very limited infectivity epidemic, then certainly we need to insist on a completed phase 3 trial. But in a pandemic situation when there are a lot of moving pieces, then I think some decisions have to be taken on the grounds of possible protection against mutants, against elderly people, and there are so many other considerations that come in, including the availability of the vaccine through local production and the pricing issues.
And Dr. Tikku, you know, we've had a conversation earlier where you said the Covishield is really, I think you were saying that because of the fact the trials were on Indians, it was one of the best options available at that time. That time Bharat Biotech hadn't really come up. What do you say to people who are actually going, doing this vaccine tourism, who are going out of India to get the Pfizer? Would you say that Covishield is better than Pfizer also for the same reasons as you explained earlier?
Well, if you go by data, then Pfizer and Moderna have more than 90% efficacy, and Covishield has around 70% on average. But I wouldn't advise people to go out of India and take the vaccine there, because we have 2 vaccines already available, and soon we'll have data for Covaxin as well. And in the coming few months, we might have the Russian vaccine, the Sputnik, we might have the Johnson & Johnson, we might have the Novavax vaccine. So there are plenty of options, and all of them are safe. All of them have a good efficacy, I would say. 70, 80, 90 is a very good. Anything above 50% will be good with that. So many people have been inoculated. There should be no apprehension now. There should be no hesitancy, no need to go anywhere. We have plenty of options here. And now with the private sector opening up, it will become easier for people to take the vaccine. And soon, I think we'll be able to do justice to it.
Martin, the new vaccines that are coming up, what have you heard about them that you can share with us, available to us in India?
That's really the Sputnik 5, which the trials are going on. And this is through Dr. Reddy's lab. And it also appears to have, as per the latest figures, efficacy over 90%. And this is being manufactured indigenously. But the committee which was approached for giving it emergency approval actually wanted some more data before they would approve this for emergency use, and they have said that they will come back with more data that the committee has wanted. So this would be something which probably in the next few weeks would get available, and being manufactured locally in Hyderabad, it would be available for the country. Then we have a second vaccine which the Serum Institute is developing, and which again, they will need to go through some of the trials before it comes into use. In Ahmedabad, the Zydex is into phase 2 trials of its own vaccine, and soon would enter phase 3 trials. So we do have multiple vaccines that are there on the anvil. But India currently is in a good position because the 2 vaccines that are approved, actually there's a whole lot of already manufactured vaccine that's available, nearly 50 million doses that are, lying with the Serum Institute, and a large number also already manufactured and waiting to be jabbed through Bharat Biotech. And so as these new vaccines come in, and as these 2 existing companies roll up their numbers, I think considering that we may reach a stage where we are able to deliver 25 to 30 lakh jabs a day, we would still have enough left over, because we don't want to enter a situation where we very quickly vaccinate huge numbers, and then we are waiting for the second dose, which is going to take time in coming, as what happened in England, where they then decided that 3 months is better than 4 weeks, without really, as Professor Reddy also pointed out, without there being cogent trial data to support that. It just may work out. I mean, the Oxford vaccine really has believed or benefited from serendipity, as they call it. This may be another one where, because you didn't have enough jabs, you said we'll vaccinate after 3 months. But I think if you look around the world, along with the US, I think India is in the best situation, because these are all indigenously manufactured. And actually, since its emergency use approval, the Indian government controls what anyone can export, what is to be sold, and it can only currently be sold to the government.
Professor Reddy, can you tell us a bit more about the new vaccines? Are they following a different model than the ones that are always already available? Are these mRNA? Are these different, based? I don't know the correct medical word, you'd know.
We have a number of platforms that are available globally for producing the vaccines, and some of them are actually now being used in India for developing vaccines and testing them. You have the mRNA platform, you have the DNA platform, which is one step a little earlier. Then you have the inactivated virus platform, which is actually like what the Bharat Biotech is. Then you have a virus particle platform, like the Biological E is working on it. Then you have the DNA platform, which is the Zydus Cadila. But what we must recognize is there are also other methods of producing the vaccine which have a different type of immune approach. These are the mucosal vaccines. The current vaccines are being given by intramuscular injections. They produce a systemic immune response which can counter the virus after the virus has entered the body. Once the virus has entered the nose or the throat and has sort of taken up residence in the body, the immunity produced by the vaccine readily responds to that as a threat for which it has been prepared, and then quells it before it results in any serious infection in terms of disease. But the actual initial infection itself is not spurned by the vaccine. It may certainly take a short while for that virus to be expelled, and it's also likely the transmission will be reduced, as recent data are showing, that because you're not coughing, you're not sneezing, you're not discharging large number of virus particles, therefore the transmission rates also will come down. However, the initial infection cannot be completely thwarted, and it's possible that you may also become a carrier who can infect others. On the other hand, the mucosal vaccine, which is usually taken by an inhalation route, can actually protect the mucosa in the throat and the nose by creating a local immune response with IgA antibodies, whereas the systemic vaccines are mainly producing IgM and IgG antibodies and T-cell immunity. Here you're also producing secretory antibodies, which tend to sort of wash out, if I may use that term, the virus from the mucosa. And that may be particularly useful not only because of that additional facet, but also it can be administered to children. Now, you can think of a 4-year-old child or a 6-year-old child being administered in 2 intramuscular injections. That's not a happy thought. On the other hand, you can actually give an inhalation vaccine. So there are a number of advantages that we ought to be looking at as the new platforms also emerge. And we know that Altimmune is producing a mucosal vaccine, which is under trial. Bharat Biotech is producing an inhalation vaccine, which we'll have to wait and see when the trials come through. So there are a lot of exciting possibilities, even as we utilize the vaccines we already have to good advantage.
Dr. Tiku, where are we placed in A, if you want to add anything to the new vaccines that are coming in, and B, as I said, we are at this crossroads where the vaccination is there, but the surge is also there. So, it's a very interesting point that we've caught ourselves in.
See, this is actually the right time to vaccinate aggressively, and we already have 2 vaccines and they are safe and efficacious. Too soon we'll have the data for Covaxin. see, the logistical issues with Pfizer and Moderna have always been there as far as India is concerned. So these two vaccines might not come to India. And Covishield is already doing well. But the other options which we have is the Russian vaccine, which is the Lancet has recently published their data, 91% efficacious. So that, and it is being indigenously produced by Dr. Reddy's lab. And then Johnson & Johnson, soon it might get approval in US. The biggest advantage of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is it's a single shot. So logistical feasibility is there. So you don't have to come back for the second, and production is also not an issue. Though their efficacy varies from the trials which have been done in various countries from 66% to 85%. But definitely it does reduce severity and death. And then the Novavax. Serum Institute has a tie-up with Novavax, which is again US-based. And their phase 3 trials have also been finished, and their data is also quite efficacious. I mean, they do say that it's safe. It works against the mutant strains as well, including the South African strain and the UK strain. So these are different options. And then our DNA vaccine, the Zydus vaccine. So there are plenty of options. In the next few months, we'll have a lot of vaccines available in India. So there's no need to really apprehensive about it. I think we'll be doing a good job. So the need of the hour is actually to be very aggressive and do it, because the vaccine is the only way. It's the most important thing which will reduce the transmission, reduce the severity of the disease. And it's the most successful public health intervention in contemporary human history. If you go back and see measles, mumps, hepatitis, so many diseases have been taken care of, polio for that matter. So the vaccine is the way to go, and we're doing a good job. Apart from US, UK and China, India has done lots of vaccinations till now, though absolute numbers might not be that high. So we still have a way to go.
That's the concern also, Dr. Mahajan. You know, in I think we started in mid-Jan, so 1.5 months, we've just been able to do 1.2 crore. You know, it's not a very big number if you look at the opportunity that we have and the challenge ahead of us. So how confident are you that the next step would be a positive one, that at least we can speed up the process? So we have the vaccines, as you said, they are available.
Yeah, I think we are very, very confident. You have to realize that this is a massive task, and you can't jump, straight off and start doing huge numbers. In the beginning, in the first 2-3 weeks, there was hesitancy because of the fact, is it safe? That was the question that was being asked. Once that question was overcome, then you saw, and also there were logistic problems. There was the CoWIN app, which had glitches, which have been sorted out over time. And now what we see that slowly there's been a ramping up, and it was a very, I think, measured and conscious decision that we roll it out in a phased manner, in a proper manner, so that because of logistics issues, there are no problems. You know, now that we know it is safe, we know also that the side effects are very, very minimal. There's been hardly any severe hypersensitivity side effect or allergic side effect, and acceptability is slowly increasing. So this was the time. I mean, you have to remember that the private sector had to come in. It was inevitable, and the government was well aware of that. We've been speaking to the government just as we did for testing and for treatment. Similarly, for vaccination, a strategy paper, ENY and FICCI's strategy paper, was given to the government in December itself. And the government has been proactive in discussing with the private sector. And now you see that there are going to be 10,000 government sites and over 20,000 private sector sites, hospitals, other clinics. That's something, the details will come out. And so now, with everything in place, all the glitches sorted out, you can exponentially ramp up. And there's no doubt that we do need to ramp up to 25-30 lakhs injections a day, if not more, if we are to reach the target that we've set for ourselves of July, to be able to do 30 crore jabs, 30 crore people, 60 crore jabs in this time. And the CoWIN app I was reading today is able to handle 50 lakh transactions a day. So there also there is no problem. Also, the government very wisely has said that it may be possible to just walk in and be registered at site. What has been happening that if we see the statistics overall in the country, only about 50% people have showed up to get vaccinated. And that's where also it has been slow. In the beginning, we thought there would be a rush, but now you have two kinds of people. You have the hesitant ones who will question and all of that. And then you have the vaccine enthusiasts who are trying to find any which way to actually get a jab. And so let them come and get it first if that is what they want. And that's where this registration at site and this opening up of private facilities, which are actually there in the community, and this hesitancy of going to a large hospital where you fear that I may get infected, that also will get taken away when the surroundings are neat, clean, they are near your home. You have a choice of where you want to go. And again, as has been in other things, in the government hospitals, it would be free of charge. In the private sector, it would be a predetermined charge, which the government will determine very shortly. And the private sector has been very happy to do it at no profit, no loss, and contribute to the entire effort, because 70% of healthcare is in the private sector. And so the scaling up is very much possible, and you'll see it come March 1st.
All right. On that note, thank you all of you for joining us, and I hope we've been able to allay some of the fears that have been, questions that are being asked of me, of the media, and of course of the medical fraternity. But that's it for now. Thank you all, and hope to get you back soon to take another reality check as to where we are on the fight against COVID.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.